Hey everyone, so I've been trying to get Gustavo on, but it looks like he won't be able to make it today. Unfortunately, he got caught up with something else, it seems. So I think what we can do is revert to the format where you all ask me questions, similar to what we did with the first live stream. In the absence of Gustavo, I will do my best to answer your questions. It was fun the last time we did this. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining. We've got a few people online. So if you have any questions for me, feel free to drop them in. I know there's a lot of change been happening, and I think one of the topical things past couple of months has been Chat GPT. I don't know if any of you have started playing around with it, and I'm sure most of you have. It's quite interesting how people are using Chat GPT in different ways, especially, of course, in the context of product design. I've seen people use ChatGPT to write component documentation, for example, in their design systems. I've even seen ChatGPT writing code for front end technologies like React for design systems. So it's an exciting time, really exciting time. So what we'll do is we will have a shorter stream than usual today. And if you have any questions, drop them in the chat and we can get started. Sure, Surav has a lot of questions. I'm here to answer them, brother. Just send them through and let's see. Let's have a discussion. I was also looking forward to having Gustavo on because he's leading one of the largest teams in MENA that I'm aware of when it comes to design. I think Majid Al Futtaim has close to 60 designers working over there, last time I checked, which is incredible because most of them are remote. So yeah, I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on remote working as designers. How's that going for you guys? So first question from Surav is how do I think AI will affect UX in the coming years? So this is an interesting point, and I think I mentioned in one of my previous videos that I wrote an article looking at the effects of AI in the industry and how that could change things. ChatGPT has basically poured fuel on that fire because everything that we thought would take upwards to 5 to 10 years is literally happening right now. So AI will affect design in two ways. So it'll either replace certain functions that designers perform. That's one option. The other option is it'll augment the functions designers are performing. And I think we're really early on in the chat GPT days, and it's not as refined as it's going to be, simply because machine learning systems learn as they are used, right? So as millions of people ask it questions every single hour, every single minute, it will begin to learn as people refine their questions. If they're not getting the right output, people like refine their questions and keep asking until they get the right result. And the minute you get the right result, that's positive reinforcement for the machine learning system, right? So it'll realize that, okay, this is the correct response for this type of question, and it'll just keep getting better and better. So yeah, I think it's very interesting for myself when it comes to design systems because I've been struggling for the past 2 years to write documentation consistently for the design systems I've been a part of. So, design systems are living and breathing, and you're constantly changing things, especially in the beginning of the process. And to keep your documentation in line with that is one big task. So the exciting thing with ChatGPT is you can actually prompt it in a very structured way to write documentation for you. So now potentially all you have to do is have guidelines in your design system for how to ask ChatGPT questions. and you use that template, and you can always ask for any update to your components or styles in subsequent versions of your design systems. You can just copy paste that template, change the contents, and ChatGPT will give you consistent documentation for your system. Obviously, like I'm saying, it's not refined for now, but it will definitely keep getting better. That's a great question. What is your take on the Zimbabwe design creativity? So I can answer this in two parts. So there's the design creativity, and then there's the product design community as well. So you find a lot that creativity doesn't factor in too much in our day-to-day lives as product designers when it comes to artistic creativity, especially if you're working in established companies that already have design systems and their design language is built. You typically don't have to be creative when designing products. You have to be creative in your execution of how you solve UX problems. So I can't comment when it comes to how Zimbabwean designers are creative when it comes to solving product design problems, because I haven't worked in that context in probably like almost 10 years now. So I'm not sure, but I've seen a very burgeoning community when it comes to UX, with the Zim UX design community. And what I've seen from the people I've met within that community is there's definitely exposure that's starting to happen within the Zimbabwean design community. So we're getting exposed to more ways of working, to more clients overseas, to better ways of building products, better ways to solve problems. Things like the design sprint, for example, can be configured to solve a problem in 2 hours or 5 days, right? So yeah, I'm seeing a lot of exciting things coming out of Zimbabwe, and I'm keeping an eye on it. It looks really promising. Do you think ChatGPT will take UX writers' jobs? Most definitely. I think it pretty much already has. I'm sorry to say that, but yeah, it seems like it already has, because it is much better at writing English than most human beings will ever be, simply because of the amount of data it has available to it and the fact that it keeps getting better and better. Where I see it not replacing writers yet is in multicultural and multilingual contexts. So in the Middle East, obviously we have to use English and Arabic writing in our products, and ChatGPT, doesn't do Arabic. So from that perspective, bilingual writers are very safe at the moment. But I would say if you're purely an English writer, then yes, you need to start worrying, because ChatGPT is doing your job pretty well. For example, if I'm a UX designer and I've designed a journey, and in the components that I'm using, there's a piece of text that needs to be within that component, and it needs only 10 characters, or 10, it has space for 10 words, for example, a title and a description. I can ask ChatGPT to give me 20 examples of how to write a specific business requirement in 10 words. And ChatGPT will do that in 5 seconds. If I ask a UX writer and I give a UX writer the same requirement, they will not be able to come up with 20 options in as little time as ChatGPT could, right? So yeah, I definitely would worry if I'm a writer. ChatGPT is coming for you. The question then becomes, how do you evolve yourself in the light of this? So Sarav is saying, what are the additional skills a UA UX designer can have in order to stand out from the crowd where everyone has good UI and good case study portfolio? So this is a good question. And I would say your CV is where the conversation starts, as well, at least from my experience. When a recruiting agent or a hiring manager at a company sends me profiles, it's usually in the form of CVs, right? It's not links to a portfolio in my email, in my inbox. Usually they'll send me 3 or 4 CVs at a time for the role I'm trying to fill. So the first thing I look at is actually your CV and how well formatted that CV is, and what experience you have and how well you describe your experience, the experience you have. So I would say if you want to stand out as a UI UX designer, definitely focus a little bit more on your CV and how you deliver it. I've seen a lot of designers put more focus on their portfolio versus their CV, but you need to remember from a hiring manager's perspective, the CV is gold. So I typically spend maybe 2 minutes looking at a CV and less than 1 minute looking at your portfolio. Because for me, the portfolio doesn't tell me much about you as a designer because anyone can put anything in their portfolio. It could be stuff that maybe you joined a company that was about to release a product and you worked on it for 2 weeks and that product launches and then you put all that work in your portfolio just because you worked on it for 2 weeks, right? People claim that, I worked on this project, which is not a lie. You did work on the project, but a lot of the work you're presenting in your portfolio might not be what you worked on. You know, so I would say, portfolio is great, but focus on your CV. And the other part is focus on your spoken skills and how you present yourself. Because once you're in that room or on that call and you're having an interview, you definitely need to ace your verbal skills as well as your soft skills. So there's this concept of your visual identity and your vocal identity. So a lot of us focus a lot on our visual identity. Like, for example, for this call, I made sure I wore a jacket that suited my environment, just like beige, threw on a necklace, and picked my Tom Ford eyeglasses. So that's my visual identity. But there's also my vocal identity, which I need to use when I'm presenting this, doing this live stream and speaking to all of you. The same thing applies if I'm in an interview, right? It's don't just focus on your visual identity. So you'll say, okay, what shirt am I going to wear? It's going to be blue because blue is the color that says it's a bold and trustworthy color. So I'm going to wear blue. I'll throw on a jacket. Maybe I'll look for a nice pair of shoes. So you're focusing a lot on your visual identity, but have you thought of your vocal identity, like how you speak words, how you emphasize certain words when you're building a sentence? What words you use, how often you say like I'm very conscious of how many times I say on this call because I'm gonna have to edit the ums out. But yeah, I would say if you want to stand out, it's your CV and your vocal identity. Make sure you practice a lot on your vocal identity. And one tip that I can give in light of this that I saw on TikTok, oddly enough, is just record yourself for like 5 minutes recording, or you can start with shorter if you don't have that much to say, like 1 minute. Just record yourselves talking about something and notice your mannerisms and your delivery, right? And the more you do that, the more you practice, the better you'll become. Brijesh, good to see you too, brother. Gordon Gilden. So, do you think it'll be smart enough to learn content style guides with terminology and apply across the board? Yeah, for sure. So, the point of machine learning is the sky's the limit. It's as good as how you train it. So, it might not be good at it now, but if enough UX writers around the world keep asking it to create content style guides, then it'll just get better and better. So definitely, I think it will be much smarter than people for sure. Would you say tasks requiring critical thinking are the limitation for Chat GPT? Can you give me an example of what you mean by critical thinking? Because from my experience, critical thinking can boil down to like the first principles theory, and all of that is learned, right? So people had to learn how to think critically, effectively. So yes, I think it can definitely get there. Like I keep saying, the more it's trained, the better it gets. So I think people need to be careful how they look at Chat GPT. So don't take it for what it is today. Think 1 year from now when Chat GPT 4 rolls out, because remember we're only at Chat GPT 3 right now, and ChatGPT 4 will be significantly more powerful than 3, simply because it has more data, it's been trained longer, and it's learning from the data that 3 provides, right? So yeah, I think it's a scary concept because it's going to be able to do a lot for humanity, but at the same time, we're going to have to evolve the way we as designers in the workplace, or even IT professionals like developers, we're really going to have to think about how we evolve in light of ChatGPT 4 and its subsequent releases. Cool. Another interesting concept that I discovered yesterday when it with regards to ChatGPT. So if you think about how a child learns and mirror that to what we're seeing with ChatGPT, it opens up a world of possibility that we might not actually know we're at the precipice of. So, for example, when you look at how kids learn, when a child is born, they don't really know much, right? They've got the propensity to learn simply because they're human, and they have our biology and our DNA as parents. But a child can't speak, can't reason. It's simply a brain that has the ability to learn based on the data it's given. So a child in China will grow up learning Mandarin because um, that's the environment it's been exposed to, versus a child in Zimbabwe will grow up learning the local customs and cultures of Zimbabwe. And the more that child is exposed to, the more that child learns. And this idea of a conscious being is something that we can't explain at the moment. Our science and partly our religion tries to explain it, but our science definitely cannot explain what makes us conscious. So when it comes to ChatGPT, it's basically learning like the child at the moment. So you ask it questions, it learns. Sometimes it gets it wrong, sometimes it gets it right. More often than not, it gets it right. But it's learning as it goes along, and it's starting to exhibit traits of a personality. If you ask it to speak in the voice of a certain person, it can write based on that person's characteristics, right? Like we're saying, your vocal identity and the way you put together sentences. Like Donald Trump puts together his sentences in a very particular way, um, and Barack Obama puts his sentences in a very particular way. So you can actually write a paper in the voice of someone particular. So we're teaching ChatGPT all of these things, and it might end up reaching a point of consciousness in the sense that it's a child that's developing its knowledge in the same way we do. Only it's doing it a lot faster. So I find it interesting to see. It's interesting and scary at the same time. Like, what is ChatGPT going to evolve into as we train it and as it starts training itself? Amazing, cool. Just food for thought there. So I think that's it for today. It's a pity Gustavo couldn't make it. I will try and reschedule based on his availability. Hopefully, he'll be available sometime soon. Our next live stream is one that's going to be pretty amazing. So we've got Dan Mall coming to join us. And if you noticed on the invite, I mentioned that he will be giving away over $800 worth of his courses. And I really, really am looking forward to that. So we'll be giving you a discount code on the day to 2 people that we choose on the day during the live stream. So I'll DM you your discount code, which will basically give you the courses for free. But I really recommend you come with your questions. Denmal is an amazing guy. He started a career in teaching now. So he started a brand called Denmal Teaches. You might have seen it on LinkedIn and YouTube, where he starts teaching designers about everything that's design related, predominantly around design systems. So yeah, looking forward to having Dan on. Thank you everyone for joining. We'll be cutting it off now if there are no more questions, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.